The answer is simply no. And the answer is no for several reasons. One is the ACT government have a programme and a strategy to intervene and remediate those schools. That remediation occurs when the schools are closed in the holidays. That limits the potential exposure from the hazard of lead paint. And also the children in the schools, they're way beyond the age of risk of ingestion. And so the peak of lead exposure in children typically occurs at the age of between 2 and 3 years of age. The children at school are much older than that. Their hand-to-mouth behaviour has more or less ceased by the time they get to 4 years of age. And it's the hand-to-mouth behaviour that results in the exposure to contaminants in the environment, whether that's in soil or dust. The primary exposure route for lead is ingestion. Inhalation and dermal exposure. Dermal exposure is negligible. Inhalation is largely a minimal risk, and that's usually associated with people smelting or soldering. But for children, it's ingestion, and that's what the evidence shows. A hazard is something which has the potential to create a problem. So for example, we all, if we drive a car, we all have a lead acid battery in the car. That contains hazardous materials, i.e. lead plates and acid, but it's in a sealed unit. Now, it only becomes a risk if you then take that lead acid battery and you break it open and then you start smelting the lead plates. And so there's a difference between a hazard, i.e. encapsulated lead paint in schools, and a risk of exposure. If that lead paint is encapsulated, it's not going to present a risk of harm. For it to be a risk of harm, you have to go in there, you have to sand the paint, generate gazillion particles, and then the person has to be in the room and then ingest or inhale those particles for it to present a risk of harm. The Education Department are applying the highest and best standards for clean-up with respect to lead-rich dust that are available globally.